All right, how we doing? My Facebook group. I'm going live in here. All right, so I was trying to give people time to come in. I tried to come in. I try to come in like pop in. So if you got questions, you can ask questions. Make sure you make sure you put your questions in the box. So if you have any questions about debt collection, I'm going to go through a few things. I hope especially for my new people, if they're new to the group, or is that if this is their first time listening to me, seeing me, then you get to ask questions. So I go through a few topics to kind of get your brain going. So if you had a debt collector contacting you, and we talk about debt collection, I'm gonna tell you the difference between a debt collector and a creditor, so you can have a good idea of what process you need to take, because pursuing a pursuing a creditor is totally different from pursuing a debt collector. And we do have rights under what we call the FDCPA, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And your state will also have some debt collection practice laws. And you can also find remedy in your state laws that can also fall under, for creditors. Creditors have laws that they have to abide by, especially with your state. So I will be explaining that. We're going to touch bases on the cease communication. As you're watching the live, I do encourage you to click the links. I do have the links inside of I have the links to it. You need a copy of your credit report. So I did put a link inside of the description box. I put a link inside of the description box so that you can get a copy of all three of your credit reports. Anytime you watch my live and you hear me speak, it's because I'm getting you prepared for litigation. And was like, why? What I'm gonna need to do? I'm not gonna take somebody to court. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer either. So I do want to do my disclaimer before I actually get into it. All right. So the following information is not legal advice. I strive to keep all information. I strive to keep all information updated to the best of my knowledge. But regulations are subject to change frequently without my immediate awareness. So the information on this live may not be 100% accurate, as everything that I say is from my own experience. I'm not a lawyer, and I am not a legal. I cannot give legal advice by law. I strongly urge you to do your own research. So you need to consult if you need a consumer lawyer. I do have a couple lawyers that I can refer you to. If you're needing that immediate attention. But if it's dealing with debt collection, you actually have to get a consumer lawyer that is practicing in your state. Okay, so in only time that a lawyer can pretty much help you with your case when it comes to debt collection is the FCRA, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and that's federal. That goes from state to state. But when dealing with debt collectors, it's best to pick a consumer lawyer that's inside your state. So there is a link to annualcreditreport.com. You need to get a copy of all three of your credit reports. I say also get a copy of your Innovis and your Clarity. It's called Clarity Services. So make sure you write this down. Make sure you got a pen and paper so that you can take notes. I'm gonna go through the topics, but my debt collection mastery course, it shows you everything that you need to know. Everything in that course was from my experience, okay? From my experience. You and I tell anybody, always fact check what somebody tell you. Don't ever just go by what somebody's word. So always fact check what somebody tell you. We're going to go through the cease and desist. We're going to talk a little bit about validating debts. And we're going to talk about when you decide to dispute the debt. All right. So I always like to start with the cease and desist. The cease communication with a debt collector. Because if you, okay, a lot of times we know we had that credit card and we know we had that loan, but you also have to know the difference between a creditor and a debt collector. Debt collector is a third party company like LVNV. And I always say these portfolio recoveries, your Ad Astras, all of those third party companies that you did not sign. And please listen to what I'm about to tell you, that you did not sign a contract with, or you didn't go into an agreement with. So if a debt collector contacts you, do not agree to pay anything because you do not owe a debt collector. All right. I've been through enough situations. I've been through 2 bankruptcies. Um, I just got tired of dealing with debt collectors that try to sue me. So I learned my consumer rights and I exercise my consumer rights. And once you find out, it's like riding a bike. Once you find out, once you learn that you have consumer rights against these companies, you, they don't seem so bad. I go to the mailbox. I can't wait to go to the mailbox now. Used to be scared to go to the mailbox. A summons come to my door, and that learning about summons and debt collector suing you is a totally different thing. But I've been waiting to go to the mailbox. But anyway, your creditors are the ones that you actually sign a contract with, like or agreement with, like Credit One Bank, your credit card companies, like your finance companies, your loan companies, your installment companies, your payday companies. Um, and I say all of those separately because if you look at your state's laws, they do have different laws for each type of loan. So you have to be very careful. So you have that's why I say you have to do your own research for your state. Um, some states don't even have the FDCPA, but they don't have their own debt collection laws, so they use the FDCPA, and that's a plus. That's a plus because you get the remedy under the 15 USC 1692K. But if your state has their own, you can get it under both now. You'll get remedy under both. So when you're ceasing communication, and you need to know the difference between a creditor and a debt collector, because if you tell a creditor to cease communication, you run the risk of them closing your account. That's what we call adverse action. So you don't want if it's already open and you're disputing something and you don't want it closed, you can run the risk by sending them a cease of communication. You watching these videos from YouTube, you listen to all these people, you're trying to mingle all this stuff together, and you end up sending a creditor a cease and desist letter. Then you when they close your account, that's the reason why they closed it, because you told them to stop communicating with you. Because by law, once you send that letter, they're supposed to stop contacting you. Okay. So when you send that cease and desist letter to a debt collector, they're supposed to do the same thing. They're supposed to stop contacting you. But if you're looking for remedy, if you're looking for monetary remedy, if you're looking for deletions, I say validate the debt, because a lot of times when you ask a debt collector to validate the debt, and a lot of those companies do not know the law. They don't train their employees or their workers on the law. You can contact them and tell them, you can call them, because you can call them, but by you calling them, asking them questions is not you admitting that you owe their debt. No, it is not you admitting that you owe that debt. And sometimes they'll say the wrong things, or they'll violate a law. It's all about contacting that debt collector. A lot of them have good intentions. Not all debt collectors are bad debt collectors. I do want to put that out there. But when you send that cease and desist letter, they're supposed to stop contacting you. Now, the good thing about when a debt collector contact you is when they call you, especially if they continue to call you and they don't send you any type of notice in the mail, any type of letter. By law, that day that they contact you, I advise you to screenshot that call. If you can't record it, screenshot the call from your phone. Try to write down everything in detail that you all talked about during that phone call. They're gonna ask you what's your name. Okay, you can give them your name, because how many people have your name? More than you, I can bet, more than you. But when they start to ask you questions about your birth date, social security number, your address, my thing is, if you're a debt collector and you own the debt, or you purchased that debt, why are you asking me that information? You should already have that information. Sometimes they're trying to get the information to locate you, because they can't locate you. They may have your phone number, but they don't have your address to send that information to you. So the date that they contact you, they're supposed to within 5 days, they're supposed to send you a notice giving you those 5 things. And once you take that debt collection mastery course, You'll learn more about those 5 things, but I do know that 2 things is the amount of the debt and the name of the original creditor. Okay. So if they don't send you that notice, that 1692G, that letter, validation of debt letter, that's a violation of the law. They're supposed to send you that. So if a debt collector calls you, if you tell them that, oh, I don't want you calling me, don't contact me, cease and desist have to be in writing. They can't be disputed over the phone. No, you can't dispute a cease communication over the phone. You have to send that to them in writing. And my advice to you is to always send it certified mail. And the debt collection master course has a copy of that, has an actual sample of the letter that you can send, which y'all, a lot of these companies, and plus we do too, we sell the templates. You don't even have to use my templates. You can write, once you learn the laws, once you watch enough of my lives, once you engage in me and communicate with me, you can write your own letter. There even a bonus inside of the courses with Chat GPT. I literally show you how to use Chat GPT to create your letters. And Chat GPT is free. Y'all, your consume when you learn your consumer rights, this information is free. Now, when you're learning from somebody and you're wanting that person or that company to do everything for you, that's at a cost. They're doing work, they're doing a job. You have some people that do it for free. Everybody's not going to do it for free, because we all have different, we look at things differently. So if I feel like I want to charge because I put a lot of work into this, I've studied this, then, and you trust me enough, purchase it. You're going to find that going through this process, being cheap, is not going to get you anywhere. Trust me, it's not going to get you into the room that you need to get that exact information. Trust me, I tried this. It does not work. Learning from me, I'm very transparent. I care less about what people say, because everything is a learning process. Okay. But if somebody is charging for something, I feel like when you pay attention. And that's true. That is so true. Because when somebody give you something for free, you'll look at me like you won't take that extra effort it needs to finish it. And anytime I give you something, I have a time constraint on mine, because I guess that's the educator in me. Because when you're trying to learn something, and if I don't put a time restraint on it, you're gonna let it sit for months. And we all are working people. We all have busy lives. We have a family to take care of. We have all these extracurricular activities that take a lot out of us. So I do know that sometimes you have to put stuff on the back burner. But when you're learning this, debt collections on your credit report is not going anywhere. The debt collector is expecting for it to sit for 7 years, because by them reporting it to your credit report and you see it, that is a form of collections. That's almost like a coercion to make you, because you can have a collection sitting on your account. You owe this account 5 years ago. Okay. And you all of a sudden decides to look at your credit report. Oh Lord, I got a collection on my credit report. I need to go and pay this. Maybe I'm gonna say $500 collection. Okay. We're not gonna say, well, this medical. I do have medical debt collection course inside of the Consumer Scholars University. So if you need that, that's also in there. Um and you like, oh, I need to pay this because I need my credit score to go up. By you seeing that, and you know that you need to pay it, even though you don't have to pay a debt collector, you're not required to pay a debt collector. You're going to be like, I got to get this off my report. They're doing that. They did that because they want you to pay them. That debt collector just purchased that account, or even if it was assigned to them for pennies on a dollar, they might have paid $10 for that $500 account. And if you decide that you want to contact them with that address that they have on their credit report, and you pay them, you willingly pay them, they just earned $450 off of you. They just earned $450 off of you. So, with that being said, now that you've paid the collection, guess what? That's strike one. Here's the other strike. Now you have a paid collections on your credit report, which is not coming off your credit report, because it's going to just turn around and be updated and show paid. Okay? And it's going to show paid. Now it's going to sit on your credit report for 10 years because you've paid it and you've reset the statute of limitations. for that account to stay on your credit. So, and sometimes you see that collection on your credit report, and debt collectors can sue you for a debt. Yeah, by law, not by law, but it is legal for a debt collector to sue you for a debt, especially if they purchased it and if they can prove that they owned it, they can sue you for that collection. So sometimes when you see that collections on your credit report, you run that risk. You run the risk of poking the bear, and you gonna always hear me say poking the bear. So if you're listening to my live right now, I just want you to type poking the bear or put the bear emojis inside of the comments. Not make sure whatever questions you got, make sure you're dropping them. So at a later time, if I can't answer them during the live, I can answer them later for you. Once you complete the debt collection mastery course, you will be added, it with your permission. You will be. It is optional. You will be added to the debt collection mastery Facebook group. Once that group get a certain members, then we'll start having live calls. If you have any immediate questions about debt collection or debt collection situation that you're in, you can ask in that group. Now, you won't be added to the group until you have completed the debt collection mastery course, because I feel like you need to have a basic knowledge for debt collection, because I'm getting too many questions about creditors, and that's not helping your situation with who you're actually dealing with. All right, so back to the cease communication. If you see that collection on your credit report, you can send them a cease and desist. Now, once you send that cease and desist, they're supposed to stop collection activities. They're supposed to stop credit reporting, but we all know that they don't, because it's up to that actual debt collector, which is the furnisher of that credit report, and it's up to that TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian to delete it. Okay, but you can learn in these consumer laws. You control what's being reported to your credit report. Now, with that being said about the cease and desist, also I have had people that has never, with the actual debt collector that they were dealing with, they never had that account. That debt did not even belong to them. So I would advise you to send a cease and desist letter as soon as you can. You can tell them to cease and desist calling, don't email, don't text me, and don't write me nothing in the mails. If you don't own that debt at all, you can just cease. And if they're reporting to your credit report, they need to show you proof that you own it. If they can't show you proof that you own it, I mean not own, you owe the debt, it's got to come off your credit report. Okay. And by law, you're supposed to give them at least 30 days. It can be deleted immediately because you don't own it. I mean, you don't owe it. But I give them 30 days just to be safe. Okay, that's just me. But rolling from cease and desist to validation of debts, you may want to dispute the debt. You can send them a validation of debt letter. That's also included inside of the debt collection mastery course. And you can ask them to validate the debt. Inside of the course, it'll tell you everything that you need to ask for, because you want to know. You need to show me proof that you own. First of all, that you own the debt, and you need to show me proof that I owe the debt. And please, 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 do not accept statements, credit card statements. Do not accept statements, because you got a statement in the mail. So if you got a statement in the mail, 9 times out of 10, when that creditor assigned that debt, or when they transferred that debt or sold it to that debt collector, they got a copy of the statements. They may not even have a copy of all statements, because inside of the debt collection mastery course, it tells you exactly what to ask for. All right, it tells you exactly what to ask for. Now, when you ask them to validate that debt, you are asking them, you are actually disputing it. Okay. Now, when it comes to disputes, you can call and dispute. You can tell them, I don't owe that. I don't know what you're talking about. Where did you get that amount from? And I'm gonna come back to the validation. But when I was telling you about the calling, when they start to ask you your information besides your name, you start asking them questions. Who are you? What's your name? What company do you work for? Um, who is the original creditor? You can ask them anything on the phone. Sometimes they may hang up in your face. Sometimes they may get rude. And if they do that, keep record of everything, write everything down, because they're not supposed to be harassing. obscene language, none of that, okay? Because you're asking questions about a debt that they're calling you for, okay? That is a violation of the law. They cannot be mean to you on their phone, all right? Because they're calling you, first of all, about a debt, all right? Back to the validation of debt. That's you actually disputing it. And as you're disputing it, there is a 30-day window, okay? They're supposed to validate the debt within 30 days. So if January 2023, we'll say January 1st, just for the sake of the video. January 1st, 2023. So from January 1st to January the 30th, that's the time frame that they have. That's the time frame that they have to validate that debt. Okay. Now there is a safe harbor rule. So with that 14-day window, if you don't respond to them within 14 days, now you have 30 days. If they send you a notice within that 30 days and you don't respond to that notice within that 30 days of the date that you received it, they can report to your credit report. Did you know that? They can report to your credit report. They can assume that the debt is valid. So that's when a lot of debt collectors start to report. If it's a new debt to them, they'll start reporting to your credit report within that 14 days. So if you receive a notice from a debt collector, answer it as soon as you see it. Do not ignore it, because all it's doing is making it worse. And you keep track of the date when you send your validation of debt. I've seen someone put the 30-day. They let them know what date that they got to respond by. I don't too much like to do that, because you're telling the debt collector what to do. In this game of consumer law, you're supposed to trap them up, because they're supposed to know the law. If you're contacting me about a debt, you're supposed to know this. So don't give them the date that they need. Okay. So within that 30-day window, they're supposed to validate the debt. Be very careful of that 14-day window I was telling you about, that safe harbor rule for a third-party debt collector. If you notice that a letter comes to you and it's from a debt collector, you can return it to sender before even opening it or touching it. Okay. Because if you send it return to sender, that means that they haven't really reached out to you. So they got to find another means to contact you. But if you wanna open it up and see, you can, because you don't owe a debt collector. Just put that in the top of your head. The only company that you know you owed was that creditor, Credit One Bank, the finance company, the auto loan company, all those companies that you actually signed and you got that agreement with. Those are the companies that you actually owe, if in fact you actually owe that debt. Okay. So with that being said, you're disputing the debt. They're not supposed to be doing any type of collection activities. So between that 30-day window, if a debt collector call you and say, "Hey, we're trying to see if you're gonna pay this debt off," and if you know you sent that validation debt notice that telling that you dispute that debt, and they call you in between that 30-day window, that is a violation of the law. They're not supposed to continue collection activities. Okay, and now, if they're not already reporting to your credit report, they're not supposed to put it on your credit report. If between that date that you sent that they received. Now, a debt collector can send you a debt collection letter. As long as they mailed it, that's good. They fine. But when you send your validation of debt letter, you have to start, your window starts from the date that that the debt collector received your validation of debt letter. All right. So if they call you and ask you about paying for a debt, they're not supposed to do that. If you see the account actually pop up on your credit report after they receive your validation of debt letter, they're not supposed to credit report. That is a form of collection. Because if you didn't look at your credit report in the first place, you wouldn't have known you owed it. And you're like, "Oh, they're trying to get my money. I got to get this off because I don't need the collections on my credit report." Yes, that's a form of collecting. Okay. That's a form of collecting. All right. So in the debt collection mastery course, the validation of debt is also included. Now, when we're talking about disputing the debt, don't forget, when you're disputing the debt, you can call and dispute the debt. So if you sent a validation of debt notice and the company is still trying to collect from you, you can send them a cease and desist letter after you've done the validation of debt. So let them know, and I always say, I want everything in writing. So I would tell the debt collector to just cease texting or calling or emailing. I prefer email. So I allow them to email and write me. You can send me a letter, you can email me because that's proof. But I don't want you calling me. I don't want you texting me because when I'm at work, I don't want to answer a phone call from a who wants to answer a phone call from a debt collector? Not me. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. So if you're still watching this live and you came to the end, I do want you to drop what debt collectors you're dealing with because in our Facebook group, the Secret TLC Facebook group, I am. And if there's a debt collector that you don't, it's a post with a poll with debt collector, what debt collector is pursuing you. I like to make a list. I want that list to grow. So you can add the name of the debt collector inside of that list if you want, just so I can see. Okay. Because I do want to know what debt collectors are out of there. The CFPB does. I do have the link to the CFPB um inside of the description box of this live. And I got every other link that you need. I do have the link to my ebook, the guide to a true line of credit, because you all control what's being reported to your credit report. I don't have an 800 score. I'll tell anybody that because I'm still in my learning process, and there are things that are on my credit report that I'm actually seeking legal remedy for. So I'm not touching any of that because that's for my lawyer to do, and a few things, well, a couple, I'm doing pro se. So you can learn that process inside of the debt collection mastery course. But I mean, Facebook group, but that group is a private group. So I do want to tell you all, I do thank the ones that actually decided to join the debt collection Facebook mastery group. But if you're inviting people and they haven't completed the debt collection mastery course, they're not going to be invited. They're going to be declined. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that now because that group is an exclusive group where I've been in too many groups where there's like chaos everywhere. People come from one group asking the same exact question they was asking in the other group, and that sovereign stuff. I don't answer those questions. I don't practice that. I don't teach that. So don't come in my group asking me if you don't like it. Then that my group is not for you. Okay, not saying it to be mean, but I don't do that. That living in the private stuff. Now some of the stuff is good stuff to know, especially that UCC1 stuff. But I don't teach that. So don't ask those questions. Stick to debt collection. That's it for me. But if you're inviting people to that mastery Facebook group, they're not going to be accepted if they have not completed the debt collection mastery course. Okay. And you must answer the group questions. If you don't answer the group questions, then because everything has rules, y'all. Even when you're doing consumer law, those are rules. So if you can't accept the rules, you won't be accepted either. I'm sorry. It is an option to be in the group. Okay. All right. So now credit reporting. Before I get off this live, if a debt collector, and I do want to give you this gem before I get off live. If a debt collector is reporting to your credit report, say for instance you went into default with this company, I'm gonna say back in April, all right, April 2023, and it is now July, and it popped up on your credit report July 1st 2023, and you see date assigned or you will see date open, and they'll put it as the date that they received your debt. By law they're not supposed to do that. If they purchase the debt from a creditor, or if it was assigned to them, they're supposed to use the date from the creditor in which you went into default. Because what the debt collector is doing, they're actually re-aging that account. So if it's back in April, May, June, July, that's like 3 months. They just re-aged. They just gave your account, your collection life 3 extra months. Because by law, an account can only stay on your credit report for 7.5 years. That's 7 and 6 months. 9 times out of 10, it comes off in 7 years, but that's a good thing. But they're re-aging your account when they do that. Okay, so be very careful of that date open date and the date assigned. It's supposed to be the actual date that you went into default with that creditor. And if that collection is under the debt collector, third party debt collector, and they list the original creditor, and if you also see the original creditor reporting that same account, the original creditor, it could be both, but the original creditor has to have it as a balance of zero. They both can't have you as a past due for, and I'm gonna say for the $500. So if both of them are gonna report, one of those accounts can only have it as a past due. The other account have to have it as a zero. Okay. 9 times out of 10, when a creditor, and I've seen this in some cases, a creditor will actually delete the account once they sell it because oh, also too, if a creditor actually sold your account, they're supposed to tell you that they sold your account and who they sold your account to. Now, I will give you another gem. Keep track of who they're selling that account to, because each company that account is being transferred to, if you sent a cease and desist to that first debt collector, that cease and desist follows every company or every debt collector that purchased it or is transferred to after that. So be mindful of that, because if debt collector A, you sent the cease and desist to debt collector A, and debt collector A said they don't want to deal with it, and they pass it off to debt collector B. Debt collector B they have to abide by that cease and desist that you sent to debt collector A. So keep that in mind too. All right, I will be posting this on YouTube. Please, please get a copy of all three of your credit reports so that you can take a look to see if you have any type of collections on your credit report. As I do not do credit repair, so I don't do your credit repair for you. The Secret TLC, the Debt Collection Mastery Course, it's a DIY program, so you're doing it yourself. All right. And I want to thank you all for watching. Any questions, drop them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them as much as I can or as fast as I can. If you're watching this on YouTube, you have to become a member in order for me to interact and engage with you. All right. Thank you all for watching.